welcome to our sixth Good Chat and our first one of the year. Today we are joined by the most special guests ever, and co-founders of Good Box itself. Hi Maddy, hi Gali.
Hi, Is, how are you?
I was hoping you could start by introducing your roles and yourself. I'm sure everyone's very familiar with your faces, but this is a chance for our listeners to get to know more.
Ooh.
Amazing. Well, I am Maddy. I am obviously co-founder, and Girls and I share the CEO role. And here in Brisbane, I do the operations, head up operations.
Amazing. Very, very fun. I am the same. I'm Gali, and I'm also a co-founder, and I also share the CEO role with Maddy. And over here in Melbourne, I head up the marketing and fundraising. So lots of fun.
Awesome. So I think I just want to start by and how does this partnership come about?
Yeah, well, I can take this one. So Girls and I actually knew each other years and years ago. We worked together at the same company. It was a media company, and we both lived in Sydney at the same time. And a friend of mine realised that we had a mutual connection and introduced us, and we became very fast friends. I thought Gully was a little bit crazy when I first met her. Our personalities are very different, but I think that's what made it special. And yeah, we just got along, bonded over crime books and true crime. And
to quote Maddy, she thought I was true friendly, and I've never met anyone who's actually that nice all the time.
Yeah.
And then we kept getting to know each other. She was like, "Oh, that's just you all the time." Okay.
That's just you. Yeah.
I will say very like polar opposites, but I feel like that's what makes you mesh.
That's
so
what
well.
makes
Yeah. And then how the Good Box came about, we just kind of shared the same values and noticed this one person who was sleeping rough underneath our building. And I sort of went up to Girls and said, I really want to do something to help. What do you suggest? And then, yeah, the idea of creating a beautiful gift box that you could share with someone who was doing it tough, that had everything inside that they needed and wanted at that point in time. And creating that connection and bridging that gap. And yeah, we just started working on that within the weekends, in lunch breaks. Amazing. After work, girls would come and sleep over at my house and we would work on it, and yeah.
Eat dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
Eat dark chocolate and red wine.
Yeah. And at the time when Maddy came to me, I had this like idea of the Good Box, not what it is now, but a kind of framework of what we built the Good Box on. So when Maddy saw this man that I also saw outside our building, and he hadn't slept, he hadn't eaten, no one was helping him, everyone was ignoring him. Maddy was like, I have to do something. I was like, finally, like I've had this idea in my head, but I didn't know what to do with the idea. And this is just going back to how the two of us work so well together, because I'd come up with this like idea, but I was like, where to go with it. And Maddy was like, okay, well, what is the idea? And so together we were able to utilize our really good chemistry that we have together and our really great different skill set to then turn it into what it is now. But we obviously had to work full time in other jobs for a while, and so there was a lot of weekends and early mornings and after work and things like that, which
I will say, because it's really hard to jump from that stable 9-to-5 job. What gave you guys the confidence to say, you know what, I believe that this is going to work, like I'm just gonna
I don't know, delusion.
Yeah, delusion. No, we always have a plan. We always have a long-term plan. And we both had quite hectic jobs, and that required a lot of our time and attention. And so we thought, we can't continue to keep doing this in our lunch break. We need to give it its full attention. And so our plan was to drop back 1 day a week at work and then keep gradually dropping back a day at work, so then we could use those days to focus on the Good Box. And then, yeah, bittersweet, COVID happened in 2020, and girls and I were in the events industry, and so, you know, we had no work, and it was the best time to kind of be like, right, let's focus on this. Let's actually put all of our energy in.
I guess with COVID as well, like, was that a challenge? What was your biggest challenge when you started, and I guess how did you come?
I think the thing with COVID was that actually the people were at home, and some people were in a position where they felt like, well, I do have money and I feel bad for everyone else that's really struggling. So they were in this capacity to be a bit generous. And then you had a lot of people who needed more help. So Maddy and I were getting calls left, right, and center. And that's when we were like, well, that's where Maddy and I were technically full-time volunteers for a while, just because COVID had kind of forced us to be. And in that, and I have a journalistic background, so I was still kind of doing some freelance here and there, but the work had really fizzled out. So the two of us just really dedicated to that. And that's when the project, the Channel 10, came to us.
Yeah.
And obviously I was able to use my media journalist background. And then that's when they came to us and they saw the story of like these two people who had basically had to leave our jobs and were full-time in the Good Box, doing what we were doing at the time. We thought it was amazing, but we had done 2,000 boxes. And it's funny that at that time that was huge, but it was huge because we didn't have a warehouse. We didn't have like a proper, we didn't have staff. It was all of us. We didn't know at that stage what we were, even how to run a charity. We were just going with, I guess, instinct and Google and some, you know, mentors here and there. And yeah, got us through that point. And once that was about July 2020, and once that happened, that's when we got the support that we needed to essentially then be able to go into the Good Box full time.
Yeah. And now we're at 33K with our own office, staff members. Like, gosh, we're so proud.
Yeah,
33K
plus
boxes.
30 boxes. Yeah,
33,000
boxes.
So I think we've talked about, I guess, like the setup and actual operation side of the business. Now, going back to the actual cause, what's one thing you wish that people understood more about homelessness itself?
I think
it's a good one.
It is a really good question. And I think that's kind of, you know, often when you ask us about how did we start the Good Box, Maddy and I will go immediately operational, like this is how it happened. But if we go back to the actual reason behind it, it's the fact that what we realized was that people in Australia, the number one issue is the isolation that people feel when they're experiencing homelessness. And when we were walking past someone and you just said like, hello, how are you? Or you asked, what kind of coffee would you like? That makes someone feel special. That helps the person to then be able to accept other help around them, or to say, okay, I'm going to go and see what I can do to get out of this position. And I think that's one thing that we still here 6 years later, you know, have to shout from the rooftops, because a lot of people still don't understand. And that's why we love doing our corporate programs that we do and our school programs. And people are always really interested in that when we hear, yeah, it's communication, it's making that person feel special, it's dignity. And also that homelessness can happen to anyone. And that's still something that a lot of people, you know, don't always understand. And when they hear the stories and they see the people who, you know, what, like Sammy, who was a law clerk and a mum and had kids and normal life, everything, had a lovely family, and then ends up experiencing homelessness. And now she works for us as a lived experience speaker, and everything worked out. But that was someone who maybe you wouldn't ever expect would have been homeless. And I think that's something that we also like to share with people.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said someone that you've helped experiencing homelessness, they were actually mute for a few years.
Yeah.
And then once you reached out to them, they actually began to start speaking again.
Yeah. It just shows the power of, you know, we all crave a relationship with someone. We all crave connection and communication. And when you don't get that, then it has quite detrimental effects on the person psychologically. And one of our lived experience consultants was mute for a number of months, and then it wasn't until someone actually gave him the time of the day that he felt seen and cared for. and that helped him get the help that he needed.
Yeah, it's really special. Yeah. I think to turn things around, a bit more happy now. Looking back, what do you think you're most proud of in your journey? And you don't have to say the staff.
It is true though. Like, we remember with me and Maddie's journey of how we got to where we are now. I mean, we're so proud. We have a warehouse. We have a warehouse in Melbourne. We have beautiful staff. We have like volunteers. We have corporate. We have partners. We have, you know, it's amazing to think of where we are now, the amount of people that we help, everything, the charities. It's incredible, the individual stories. But yeah, I think that it is the people that will always, we're very proud of the fact that we honestly never ran a business. We had no idea what we were doing at the beginning. So I'm very proud that we were able to, you know, take the assistance, the help, ask the right questions, get to where we are, and get wonderful staff like you, like Mav, like Marianne, like all the wonderful people who work for us. That is something we're very proud of. I mean, obviously, one of the big moments we had was when we were nominated for Young Australian of the Year award. That was a massive one. While we didn't win, we were finalists, and that was a really exciting journey. And that was amazing. We've had some really big wins, and I think one of the biggest milestones for me for the Good Box was this year when we did Giving Day, and we were in a position where it was a huge, like, we really had to do something because we were still in a position where we went from my garage to Maddie's garage to sharing a space with another charity to having our space in Brisbane, but then realizing we needed a bigger space here in Melbourne, to sharing with a charity here, and then so desperately just needing our own big space. And Giving Day this year was our first ever big Giving Day 24-hour fundraising blitz, and we did it. And you know, there was a lot of, well, what if it doesn't work, what if it doesn't happen? And I guess that's where me and Maddie's together work really well, because I was just blindly positive and it is going to happen, and Maddie was very like, okay, well, this is what we're going to put that in place, and together we were able to make this happen. And and nothing I like better than when something goes really well and I can go to Maddie, I told you so.
Told you so. I think for me, the biggest thing that I've been proud about is that when we started the Good Box, it was a brand new concept to everyone, and not many people really understood it, and it took us a long time to explain and to figure out the right way to explain how the Good Box is creating so much impact. Now, fast forward 7 years, it just seems like we finally got there, and people get it, and people know how helpful it is and how much impact it creates. And we can feel that by the support of, you know, you guys, and Mav and Marianne, everyone who works for us and volunteers for us just feels that is really making a difference. And so that's really nice, that resilience that we've sort of continued on through to, because we knew that it was something good and it was something that was going to make a difference.
And we knew that people just had to kind of understand it. And I think you can even tell by the questions we now get, they're very different to before, which is, I agree with Maddie, a very proud moment when you can see the impact that you make, but you can see that other people see the impact that you make.
I mean, I joined when we were sharing that space, you know, when I was just a simple intern, and to see how far it's grown in a year, I'm like, oh, okay, guys.
See how far you've grown in a year. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, you've grown so much. I can't believe you were an intern basically this time last year. And now you're like a professional intern.
You guys have seen me through my teens and adult.
Still a teen.
19 to so now that we're heading into the new year, well, it'll probably be in the new year when this comes out. What's the vision for 2025 or just the next 5 to 10 years? Like, where's the Good Box going to go?
Well, firstly, Mads is going to probably, by the time this comes out, maybe the
having a baby.
Actually, can I interrupt? Can we get a Good Chat exclusive on the gender?
She doesn't know yet.
I don't know the gender.
Is it a surprise?
It's a surprise.
Yeah, I don't know.
Predictions.
Boy. Girl.
We'll see who wins.
We'll see. We'll
Okay.
update this. In case no one who's listening or watching this, Maddy is heavily pregnant right now. And will likely, the baby will have come by the time this is out.
Yes.
So yeah, the plan for next year is obviously Mads is having Bubby, which is very exciting. It seems to be like I had my baby last year, and you know, every year when someone has a baby. Except this yes,
Not me
had a
next.
baby. No, you know. But yeah, so our plan is obviously that, but we're in a really awesome position now where we have worked so hard to get to where we are. And what we want to ensure is that the people that we're helping, that's number one.
Yeah.
And that we are doing everything that we can to perfect our systems, our processes, and what we do so that is streamlined, and that, you know, you think back a few years ago where you basically were just reactive to what was needed. Now we're in a really amazing position as an organization, and so for the next year we want to make sure that stays. We want to make sure that we're that our last giving day, we're just as successful this giving day, because I think either you or you said this to me the other day when we were doing our marketing, is that when one thing goes well, that's wonderful, but as an organization and as a charity, it has to always go well, because if that one giving day goes well, the next year it hasn't gone well then that giving day almost doesn't mean as much, because then you're back to square one. So where we are at for next year is ensuring that, like, great, we did our first giving day, now we have giving day again for next year, and want it to be just as successful, because we need, as we say, keep the lights on. We need to continue. We need to ensure that we're never having to say no. We're always being able to give people what they need, and that's by having the boring stuff, the processes, everything in place. And so next year is seeming to be a really big year where we've got wonderful big partnerships, new partnerships, and, you know, continuing the amazing work that we do with big partners like Abby, and having the people that we need. We have, you know, more people that message us every day for our assistance, and so I'm really looking forward to supporting all those people.
Anything to add, Maddy?
Nailed it. Hit the nail on the head. I completely agree. Just doing what we do and doing it well.
I think we will wrap it up here, but before we go, is there any last words of wisdom from the both of you? Any wisdom?
If you're wanting to start something with someone, I think Girls and our partnership is really special in the way that, like we were saying before, our skill sets complement each other, our personalities complement each other, and I don't think that we would get to where we are now if it wasn't for the both of us working together as partners. So if you're looking at starting something with someone, that's what I would kind of suggest, the type of person you look for, someone that complements your skill sets and personality.
Oh, cute. I didn't think you've ever said to me.
Girls thinks I never compliment her, but that was.
And I know it is so true. And I mean, obviously we joke and with each other and all of that, but it is, Maddy's 100% right. Like, we're here, you know, 7 years later still. I always say I've got, you know, 2 marriages, my husband, and then my wife. And sometimes this relationship has to have more, you know, time, because of, you know, the Good Box is my first baby, and then my actual baby is my second baby. But I think that, you know, that's so true. Like, if you are looking, people always ask me, like, how did you know what to do? How did you know what to do? Truth is, like, we didn't at the beginning, but because Maddy and I both come from different places, and we both have our values are the same, and that's what made it work. We are very different in terms of, you know, outwardly personalities, but and some of our skill sets, you know, as we said, complement each other, but we have the same values, and that's what really made a difference. So I totally agree. Find someone that you can work really well with, and someone that, this is stressful, right? This is a very stressful thing that we've done, and find someone that you can work with, and who will laugh with you when you need to laugh, and cry with you when you need to cry, and, you know, all of that. So
and I'd say also, just from a, like, you know, what we do at the Good Box for other people, and everything we try to get across is how easy it is to actually make a difference in someone's life. So, you know, like what we said earlier, just acknowledging someone's existence if you walk past them makes a complete difference in their day, and it takes you a second, and it will, yeah, it'll make such a big difference you don't even realize. So yeah, being able to think about those small things that you can do to really make someone's day.
You saw that the other day, right?
Yeah,
we have someone who's experiencing homelessness who was near us, and thank goodness she's actually now been able to go somewhere safer. But when you actually always work in the marketing and everything in the back, and I don't think you've ever been able to have that experience. And when you went and had a chat with her and you gave her a good box, and you realized that what she liked the most, right, was that conversation, and just that she felt special. You could see her smiling, and you came to me afterwards and you were like a bit shaken up by and teary by it.
Yeah,
because you realized that's what was important to her.
Yeah, and like after that, every time I would walk past and like I get my bananas, I would always buy her one, and she would like, you know, a 50-cent banana meant the world to her, you know. So,
and I don't
really
think
sweet.
it was the banana. I think it was that
The
you were caring. Yeah, and that's what we say about the Good Box is, you know, sometimes people like to really fixate on the items in the Good Box, and while yes, it's important, all of that, we often say it's about the gift.
Yeah,
it's about that special note that's in the box. It's about what that represents, means more than anything.
Tear up again. I don't know why.
This is why you work with us.
My God.
Yeah, lots of tears, lots of female energy in the Good Box, but yeah.
You'll see more of it for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's
yeah,
beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for joining our last day in 2024, 2025 when you guys watch this. Yeah, this has been a lovely good chat, and many more to come.
And obviously, if you want to get involved with the Good Box, you can donate go donate towards a box on our website. You can get involved in corporate programs, school programs, volunteering. It's all on the website. So contact with us with however you want to support us.
Yeah. And thank you
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for joining.
Our most special guests. We have to.
Yeah.
All right. See you later. Happy New Year.
Bye.